things are changing, times are changing. One of the things that doesn't change, though, is fear. Fear is one of the most powerful political weapons there is. On Sunday night, someone walked up to a Planned Parenthood clinic in Grand Chute, Wisconsin, speaking of Wisconsin, and detonated a homemade explosive device outside a window. Fortunately, there was nobody inside the clinic at the time. No one was injured. Wisconsin, like a number of other states under control of Republican state legislatures, is currently in the midst of a heated debate over abortion. And that rhetoric could have turned the war on women hot, leading to some less than stable religious warrior to attack the Planned Parenthood clinic. I mean, we don't know for sure what happened yet. The police are continuing their investigation. And this is not about abortion. I'm not, in fact, this whole talk, as you know, I think that we haven't had a national conversation about abortion in this country in decades, and we need to. But this story of this Planned Parenthood clinic getting bombed is something that, in all probability, you have not seen in the news. Did you see it on the evening news last night or in the morning news this morning? Was it covered, by all the medias? It's gotten virtually no coverage in the mainstream media. But just think for a moment. If that had been a church or a government building, and the bomb maker had been wearing a turban and yelling Allah Akbar, or a member of the new Black Panthers, then you can bet it would have gotten wall-to-wall media attention. The word terrorism would have been plastered under breaking news graphics on TVs all across America. But this act of terrorism, it wasn't committed by an African American. It wasn't committed by a Muslim. It was presumably committed by a white Christian, because that's pretty much 100% of all the people who've been so far arrested, convicted, whatever, for bombing Planned Parenthood committees. As I said, this has nothing to do with abortion or Planned Parenthood. This has to do with who's the terrorist. So why is it that our media doesn't cover it when the terrorist is a white Christian? It's because of the way the fear machine in America works. Make no mistake about it. There is a fear machine in this country. In fact, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It makes tremendous profits by scaring Americans to death. It helps pen up politicians by scaring Americans to death. It creates political movements by scaring Americans to death. And scaring them to death about everything from Muslims to undocumented immigrants to the debt to the new Black Panther Party. And it gets turned on, whenever it's convenient to whip up fear in America. Like whenever Americans need to be scared about the deficit. Look out! We got to have austerity measures. We got to profitize the social safety net in America. We got to have chaired off porno scanners in our airports. Make some money for Mr. Chertoff, and his company, or the company he represents. With Muslims in particular, this fear machine is incredibly effective, although it's also used against African Americans. The Center for American Progress recently uncovered a network of right-wing organizations that have bankrolled an Islamophobia fear machine to the tune of $42 million. And it only serves one purpose: make us all frightened of Muslims. Can you imagine? $42 million fear machine, all about Muslims? So back in 2010, when a Muslim organization tried to build a community center in Lower Manhattan, remember that? The Victory Mosque. No, this is Fox speak. They turned the fear machine on full blast. And the fearmongers went to work in places like Fox So-Called News. And then someone's flipped the switch on again to scare Americans into thinking Sharia law was on the market, taking over America. Be afraid, they said. Be very afraid. But the real purpose of the fear machine is not just to make Americans scared to death of anyone wearing a turban. It does that. But it's incredibly profitable. From defense contractors who are making billions off the never-ending war on terror, to security contractors who are making billions off Chertoff X-ray porno scanners in our airports, to Islamophobes who are making billions of dollars off TV appearances, books, and lectures. and whose TV network Fox is making a fortune on this. The fear machine is generating enormous fortunes for those people who want you to be afraid of somebody. Not to mention the fact that there's enormous political benefits for the Republican Party, because when people are afraid, it's the Republicans who step up and say, we'll tell you who to be afraid of. From Ronald Reagan giving his very, very first speech as a presidential candidate down in Philadelphia, Mississippi, and talking about states' rights. In other words, be afraid of those African Americans. To John Bolton running around going, I gotta be, and Dick Cheney, be afraid of Iran. And John McCain, be afraid of Iran. To Fox News, the new Black Panther Party, you know about? Yeah, 3 guys. So when a Planned Parenthood clinic gets bombed in Wisconsin, there's a real simple reason why that fear machine doesn't get fired up. No money to be made. No political points to be scored. No one wants to install porno scanners in Planned Parenthood clinics. No one stands to profit from a never-ending war against Christian extremism. In fact, Republicans don't win elections by defending Planned Parenthood. So the fear machine falls silent, and the brazen attack on pretty much whatever. From women's reproductive rights, you could position it as that, or you could position it as the brazen attack against Muslims. On and on it goes. We Americans go about our day as if everything's fine, at least until the fear machine gets turned on when a Muslim does something that could be spun into a threat. And I'm telling you, my friends, our nation was not conceived in fear. We stared down the greatest military in the world and won our independence from the British. We're the nation in the midst of the Great Depression.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.
Where our president said, you have nothing to fear but fear itself. And he backed down Hitler in Europe, and he kicked the Tojo's butt in the Pacific during World War II.